We are back, and it's Jared. Hello, Jared. We're push this here. Okay, whatever. No, don't go away. Welcome, welcome to the Western Star Movie Podcast. It's the first show, my first show. Technically, I didn't know I had a show last week. I'm so sorry. I was doing something else, but we're back. We're here, and we are going to be ready for this year. This is the final. This is actually my final time doing this. So this is going to be really, 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 really interesting to see how this goes. Um, so basically, this time around, we had a great year. A lot of things happened. The strikes were over, which is awesome. Award season. Golden Oscars are coming out March 10th, I believe it is Sunday, March 10th. Um, and then we have, I think we did have we had the Golden Globes. And I was surprised Oppenheimer. I wasn't surprised Oppenheimer won a lot of it, but we'll get into that a little bit. So we're going to talk about best movies of the year. We're going to look back to 2023. Topic today. We're going to look at best movies of 2023, top 10 worst movies of 2023, top 10 most anticipated movies of 2024 right now, and January, because I saw 7 movies in January, and we're going to be ranking those movies from the worst to the best. And we're going to get started. Okay. Again, if you were new to the channel, please don't forget you can tune in every week. For me, I'm at 1, but you always tune in to watch the other podcasts. You want to support them as well. Support the WIOR channel. Why not? So let's get started talking about the best movies of 2023. And there was a lot that I liked, and there was a lot that I didn't like. But there was a lot more movies that I actually really loved, because 2023 had a lot of movies where I really connected, and I thought they were good overall films that I think 2023 would not be without them. So let's get into it. As usual, I actually have 15 honorable mentions I want to get out of the way, because I really do think that these movies that I have right now could have been on a list, and in fact, they might be on another list. They might be on another person's list for best movie of the year, whatever. But these are the ones that just missed the list, that almost made it. And let's talk about those movies as well. So here are the honorable mentions. All right, here are the honorable mentions: Evil Dead Rise, The Creator, Missing, Joyride, Creed 3, Dungeons and Dragons, Extraction 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, The Little Mermaid. I know a lot of people didn't like that one. I love that movie. I love the Little Mermaid remake. Killers of the Flower Moon, Sisu, The Killer, Air, and Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. And those are the ones that missed my list. And I know I was a lot. Some people are like I think, you know, how come Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning not make it? It was in your top. It was for summer. Um, but there was a lot of movies that I rewatched and I saw early on that I think are a little bit better, in my opinion. Um, also, I remember I think I did The Creator a really good grade last time. Over time I was like, it's fine, but whatever. Also, some people are probably going to be a little bit annoyed that Disney is doing these live action remakes. I don't care. I had faith in this movie, The Little Mermaid, so that's why it works. That's why it works for me. And it worked for everyone else out there, but it worked for me. So let's get into it. Number 10, to quote my number 10, to quote the great Cristina V. Venezuela on Twitter, the voice behind one of the characters on Hunter x Hunter, the anime show that I've somehow heard about, and Miraculous Ladybug or whatever that I started to follow last December. To quote in a post, the only drip I have is coming from my eyes after watching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So, number 10, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This was to me the film that I think really, at the time of what Marvel was going through, they had a lot of things that were hit and miss. Some people didn't like what they were doing in 2022. I liked Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Doctor Strange was okay. Thor was bad. And then She Hulk was awful. Miss Marvel was disappointing. And Moon Knight was just fine. And then you get into 2023. And then Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania was just not that great. And then you got Guardians 3. And it was like, okay, James Gunn's got to knock this out of the park. Otherwise, Marvel's dead. Marvel's not dead. They're still going to make movies. And this movie's awesome. It's great. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is really, it had the emotions. It had the humor. It had the action. It had everything you're looking for in a Guardians movie and a James Gunn film. And this is James Gunn's last film. And he really went off on a bang. On a really good bang. And I would say that as somebody who did watch this movie and was like nervous about what could happen, I walked out pretty impressed. This is a fantastic film and one that I will be rewatching a lot. Hopefully, maybe if I have time on Disney Plus. It's not sad. It's not to say that Guardians 4. Well, no, Guardians 4. I don't think you can do Guardians 4 without James Gunn. I don't know if you can, so I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't ruin the legacy. So there's that. Number 9, speaking of comic book movies, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was incredible. It's a film that I think many people will say it's in their top 5, top 3, maybe even their favorite. There's certain things I didn't appreciate that I think over time I didn't like. One was the pacing. You can feel that this movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes sometimes. Other than that, I don't think there's anything wrong with this. This is a gorgeously animated film with some killer animation, great performances, the voice casting. It wasn't like cameos for the sake of cameos. It added something to the story where, it wasn't just like, oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember that. It's not like that at all. You can tell in a world where a lot of movies feel like a part one, this movie did feel like a part one, but in its own way. That's the thing I have with Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. It's a movie in which you can tell it's its own film, but it is a part one to a story, and that's what I liked about it. Again, humor is there, action is there, the suspense. It's all gearing up in a world where not a lot of people cared about the Spider-Verse movie when it came out, the first one. It's becoming like a big phenomenon where a lot of people are excited to see what they have in store for the next installment. And so I'm stoked. I hope a lot of people are stoked as well with that in somebody doing okay. But yeah, I'm excited for whatever they do with Beyond the Spider-Verse. If it comes out when, I don't know when it comes out. It was supposed to come out this March, which is crazy. But because of the strike, and also they said like, well, we have a lot of time to animate the film, so we're not going to do it then. All right, number 8 is The Holdovers. This is a Christmas movie that's released on Peacock. So if you don't have Peacock right now, I would watch this movie. This is a Christmas sort of dramedy of this boy that has to stay at the school to be picked up by his parents, and his parents aren't really there to pick him up, and so he has to spend the holiday with his teacher and a cooking lady, and you just feel emotions throughout each and every one of these characters that has suffered and that have been heartbroken by things in the past. And it just, I think it worked. Paul Giamatti is so good in this movie. He deserves an Oscar. It's going to be tough between him and Cillian Murphy for Best Actor. But I do think that it's going to come down to really whoever wins. If Oppenheimer wins Best Picture, then it might be Cillian Murphy. And again, I don't know. They might do the thing where they give it to Poor Things. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. I've heard a lot of people say it's great. I had not seen it. I don't know if I want to see it because it just looks so insanely stupid. But I don't know. Maybe stupid's my thing. But Holdovers, again, it's a nice. It felt like an '80s movie. The way it's filmed, the way it's shot, the way it's stylized. And I guess that's what's so good about it, it reminds you of old things that you used to love when movies were good, I would say. But whatever. That is 8 holdovers. 7 is one that was recently added to the mix, Wonka. I didn't know what to expect from Wonka. I went late. This was actually the final movie I had to watch before I did my list. And I was so surprised on how much I really did enjoy my time, and then thinking about it more, I'm like, "Yeah, that was really kinda good." And, not having to wait to watch this movie on streaming because I don't know. The trailers look good, but I was never like I don't know if I was gonna be blown away by this thing because it's like, "Oh, an origin story, we haven't seen those a million times before," but this movie is incredible. I mean, you take a look at what they did with the music part, and they really did a good job of creating this world and making it happen. The things Timothy Chalamet, performance-wise, great. Singing-wise, great. Who knew the guy can sing? And I'm so excited for him for Dune Part 2. All the side characters are great. The technical aspect, the CGI, Hugh Grant as an Oompa Loompa is awesome. It really is, and the movie made money too. It was originally supposed to be in March, and then it got moved to December, and this just shows you, like, yeah, maybe this movie would have been good on Christmas because it works for that type of demographic. But yeah, ow, um, Wonka, it had to be on the list. All right, number 6. This one's interesting. I had no idea what this movie was about. This one, I had no idea what it was going to, but every esports member, every esports member out there, as soon as I mention esports, they just leave the chat. They just leave because I saw that one person. I'm sorry. But every person in there likes anime. And I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't one of those people. Until I watched the one Suzume. This one is the anime film that came out last year. It was released in April. I never got a chance to see it until I got a chance to watch it on a website that was free. I think it was Crunchyroll. And somebody gave me a link to watch it there. And I said within the first 20 minutes of watching the movie, I'm like, this is what anime is all about. You get invested in the story, you get invested in this world, the characters, the types of actions that they have to do. This can never be done in live action. Like the type of things that could be done here, you can't do them in live action because there's no way somebody can look at this and be like, "Yeah, I'm going to carry that same magic," because it's gone. You have to just let it be. And so many of these movies now have to make it like we have to make it like the live action. We have to make it like we have to own the property. And so none of it works. But I'll admit, I said for the first 20 minutes, I'm like, this is why people watch anime. For the first 50 minutes, I was like, this is great. And then by the end of it, I was like, I was blown away. The characters are great. Dialogues feel strengthened and worthy. The animation, it's gorgeous. This is my opinion, my favorite animated movie, better than Spider-Verse, which I don't know if this movie's not made for an Oscar. If it's not, then I'm pissed, but whatever. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? But I think it was brilliant, this movie, and I might have to watch anime a lot now. I might have to go to the theaters to see these movies on the big screen because seeing this on a small screen is not really the best thing. But seeing it in a theater is really worth it because you get to see these people watch what they love. All right, top 5. Number 5, John Wick Chapter 4. I you probably already heard me talk about John Wick Chapter 4 all the time. I love I love this movie. This is now we're getting into the perfectly great movies. There's nothing really wrong with them. Everything about these next 5 movies, it's a perfect score. So it really was difficult to really judge. Well, John Wick Chapter 4 was here, but it was always going to be this. But the next 4 are difficult. But John Wick Chapter 4, I really like me a good ending to a franchise because so many of these movies, like they want to continue on a legacy and do a spin-off and hopefully make more money in the future. John Wick Chapter 4, it's like I really do think that they did a great job with this film, nailing it in the coffin because like yeah, no, we're done. That's it. Like Chad Stahelski and his team have done a great job of bringing in a universe where this type of film works. Gun Fu and the whole idea of all these side characters shining. The world building in this movie is so incredible and it's so worth it to watch in the theater over and over again. Runtime is almost 3 hours, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You don't it doesn't bother me. Every scene had great action, every scene had great visceral moments, and it's great. Donnie Yen is so good in this movie. Bill Skarsgård as his villain. You can you can bet that people are gonna if they now they're making a spin-off Ballerina in June. I have no idea how you're gonna do anything. I don't know how you're gonna top or how you're gonna tackle that. I really don't. Number 4, my favorite horror film of the year is Talk to Me. Number 4, this was a this was an interesting one because I went and saw this movie in Alabama when I helped my sister moved into her new apartment for her sophomore junior year. And I remember I went and saw a movie. I was like, which one do you want to see? It was either this, Haunted Mansion, or Barbie. And I went and saw Barbie later and I watched Haunted Mansion on streaming. And I saw this one. I was like, this is the one to watch this year. After I came out of the theater, I was like, this is the one to watch this week. I don't think I've ever seen a horror film that from A24 that I actually really enjoy because every one of their horror films are either derivative, boring, and just don't make any freaking sense. This one it didn't. It was a standard, nice horror film with good characters, smart decisions, smart writing, great jump scares that weren't just like loud sound and we just have to tackle them on. They used the creep factor really, really well. And I absolutely love it. I absolutely love that they did that. And like I said, the next 3 were tough to really nail down because I listen, this could have been number 1, this could have been number 2, but I think as a film critic, or I think of me, I think these are the ones I went on to have. So, I'm gonna shock a lot of people for number 3. It's tough. Again, Top three were really difficult to rank, but I'm going with I'm going with Godzilla minus one, number three. And the reason why I think Godzilla minus one deserves to be on this list is because when I watched that movie and when I watched the trailers, I was like, who cares? But then I saw everybody talk about like Godzilla minus one, Godzilla minus one. Is like, wait. Movies getting praise. So naturally, I figure, you know what? Let's go. Let's go. I'm gonna see this. We're gonna see this. And man, this movie's brilliant. It just goes to show you Hollywood is just losing their mind when it comes to making these movies because they have to have these big budget films that just don't look as good as this one, and the Godzilla minus one was made with for less than $15 million. Less than $15 million, and for some reason, it looks better than any other movie that has came out this year. I mean, that's just blasphemy. If I'm anything, that's blasphemy. And to make matters even better, it gives you human characters that you actually care about. Normally in these Godzilla movies, you get human characters that you just don't care about. I mean, some of them are, but the monster action is great. But this movie didn't need that monster action. It focuses on the humans and their story and the writing on this, and it works so well. It works so well, and I feel like that's what Hollywood is missing from these Godzilla movies. Now, look, whether or not Godzilla: The New Empire is going to be awesome or not, I'm excited for that. But you have to understand, it's nowhere near as good as Godzilla minus one. It's not going to be nowhere near as good as Godzilla minus one at all. And so I have faith in Toho making more Godzilla movies to make them for the entertainment audience. But yeah, I'm excited to hopefully see what their next big thing is because I'm down for another Godzilla movie. I mean, these Godzilla movies are so underrated. Now, like, I was never a huge Godzilla fan, but Godzilla 2014 is the one that gave me into Godzilla. And you have great visuals, great everything about this movie is smart. It's a smart film, and I said that a lot, but it's smart. As well as number two, The Iron Claw. I did not expect this movie to be as good as it would have been. Damn, it's emotional. It gets you, and I mean it. It gets you. It is going to hurt your soul completely when you watch this movie. The emotional story of how the Von Erichs became the Von Erichs and how they move through the timeline where they are now. It's just this movie's gonna make you cry. Like I was actually crying after I got out of the theater because it's that good. It's that good. I mean, it's that good of a film to watch and say like, wow, they actually pulled it off. Sean Durkin, director. Zac Efron, actor. Holt McKinley, supporting actor. This movie did not get nominated once. Not at the Golden Globes, not at the Oscars, none. And I'm freaking pissed. This is a great, emotional, entertaining ride that got me to my core. It really did. And I know a lot of others will say, well, it's a wrestling movie. I'm not into wrestling. You don't have to be a fan of wrestling to watch this movie and say, yeah, that was an emotional experience. You don't have to do that. Just watch the movie and be blown away by what it is. Which leads me to what I've been saying, a little bit snippets of what I've been saying about my favorite of the year throughout this entire thing, and that is Oppenheimer. I don't think, come on, I don't think there's a movie this year that I think really brought the pain as much as Oppenheimer did. When, I think I didn't realize that I realized that my number one was Oppenheimer, but thinking about the last 3 movies, Iron Claw, Godzilla Minus One, and Talk to Me, it was a toss-up, but I stayed true with my number 1, and that was because I just cared so much about Christopher Nolan and as him as a director and him as a person and a producer and making this world exist, and it fits the narrative. And you can talk about, well, the new norm is like the best thing about cinema is like, oh, all these CGI shots, it's so good. And then you look at this and it's like, oh, no CGI shots, it's so good. It's like spinning it. Cillian Murphy is definitely going to win the Oscar. Robert Downey Jr., supporting actor, guaranteed. The score by Ludwig Göransson, the visuals and the screenplay. This is the smartest film today. This is the smartest film of the year because it tackled something that I would say the majority of America didn't really know the story, but they love Christopher Nolan and want to see what he is able to do and how he is able to tackle this type of film. And he did it justice. I mean, if you didn't go see this in the theater, you didn't get the full experience. That's what I'm going to say. If you didn't go to the theater, then you missed out. You missed out. So if you say like, well, I watched it, it's not as good. You didn't go see this in the theater, dude. That's the problem. Oh wait, that's the computer. But you didn't go see this, and if you didn't see it, the experience wasn't the best because this movie, for Nolan, makes movies for the theaters. He made them for audiences to experience, and that's what works for me. That's what works. This guy knows how to make good films. That's why his movies make money. Because Christopher Nolan knows how to direct, write, and create good films. And that's what's missing. Directors like him, not making franchise sequels, not making original films like guys like him, Scorsese, what it's God, what's the other name? Ridley Scott, like these guys. Well, Napoleon wasn't good, but you gotta admit, there's nothing that I want to see more than a Christopher Nolan movie, which is why I bought tickets for the reissue of Tenet. Because I want to see these movies in a theater. I never saw Tenet in a theater. I have to. I have to. And that's the best. Those are the best movies. Now, normally for the worst, I think I have a list. I have my list for the worst movies of the year, but I'm not going to go into the honorable mentions. So I don't think there's a lot of honorable mentions that I gave, but I'm not going to do it like that. I'm going to tell you what to me are the best and worst movie, but the worst movies of 2023 are because listen, 2023 was a weird year for the worst movies. A lot of films ended up being disappointing, but I don't know. There are some films that pissed me the hell off, and I was surprised. I was surprised on how many movies there were that were just that bad. So let's get into it. We're gonna cut right into it. Okay. Number 10. I'm just gonna start this list off with Knights of the Zoo. I'm gonna skim through these because I want to get through the anticipated ones. I'm gonna try to get this done by 2:15. This segment. But I'm just going to get started with talking about Knights of the Zodiac, the live action anime film that was based off of the manga series that came out years ago. And talked about, well, there goes your franchise. They had an audacity to sequel bait in this movie. Um, just nothing worked. I don't know what they were thinking. Um, it's uninteresting. It's unappealing. The like the idea of this movie existing is just irrelevant. You talked about bringing in a world This is like a movie we've seen a million times. The kid has does a thing, does a job. This guy's like, "Oh, hey, I know what you are. You're capable of." And then you're brought into this war. It's like, "Oh no, you know all these people." Oh, it's like it's a similar story we've seen so many times. And then he becomes the hero. Now we sequel bait, which we're not getting a sequel. Did anybody see I don't think anybody even saw the first one. Like what? Hmm? Did anybody see the first one? No. No, no one did. No one went to see this movie. It's on Netflix right now, so if you want to, yeah, but no. Don't. It's not worth it. Bad CGI, bad green screen, this off casting choices. Sean Bean, he's dying. He dies in a movie. If you know Sean Bean movies, he dies in them as a side character. Next up, number 9, the MCU strikes with the Marvels. I just don't I don't like this movie. And I've said to people, I've said to one of my friends, like, listen, I don't think it's a good movie. There's nothing redeemable about the film other than I liked Iman Vellani as Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel. She's the best part of this movie. The rest of the film feels like an afterthought from the MCU. Just unnecessary nonsense put in a movie that is the shortest runtime in the MCU. This movie could have been better if it was around 2 hours and 10 minutes, but it's not. It's cheesy, but not in that good way. It's lame, but not in the bad way. It's kind of a what the hell movie. You're just like, why? We went from Captain Marvel, which was kind of not good but entertaining in a way, to this, a movie that's just ridiculously stupid. I mean, the cat eating up all the people in the space station, and then the the sound the singing planet one. It's like, what the hell are we doing? And again, it's like Nia DaCosta wanted to write something good, but Marvel, it's like they took her movie away, and this became the first official MCU underperformance. When a movie underperforms its budget, that's what it's called, an underperformance. The villain, forget of all the worst villain ever made. This everything went wrong here. And I don't expect to put any more MCU movies on my worst list. So this better not be the first time, the last time. Or actually, this better be the last time. Number 8, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. There, I almost forgot. Almost forgot. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Again, don't worry. I'm not gonna remember this movie ever again because who cares? Um, why? 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 Why did we get See, the thing is, it's the end of the DCU. Amber Heard trying to screw this movie up. But the problem, this movie should have made more money than it did. And it didn't. But it actually broke even because they said, like, oh, the film needs to make 300 to $350 million to break even, and it has made like 430, I think. Only point is the movie didn't really work well with anyone. This is a stupid movie. Dumb dialogue. You just don't care. The movie is disjointed, jumbled. It's a cluster flub of movies in the DCU. Like the first Aquaman was fun. It was silly, but it was still like the fun sort of film that you watch in Christmas time over and over again. This is just nothing fun, nothing spectacular. It's just boring, messy, lame, and it's all crap. It's all crap, and it's just a bunch of crap. It's not good. It's just so stupid, and I didn't like Black Manta from the first movie, and I didn't like him now. Like, let's do the same villain because we're getting tired of I don't know, what people don't want to see this a new villain every time, so let's just reuse a villain. And this time we'll do this like it just I don't know. I don't know what they do. DC, I'm never gonna watch this movie. Well, we don't have to worry about it because it's the end of the DCU. So bye. Number 7, it's Megalodon. It's Med Jason Statham. Med 2, The Trench. The Med Trench. Better title. The Med 2, The Trench. Just do that. Um, man, this movie sucked. Um, yeah, the first Med movie was dumb fun. This Med movie was just dumb bad. I mean, just take everything that was so fun about the first one. It's weird because the first like movies and the last 3 films I mentioned were all fun, but not great films. The next ones were just bad. Aquaman 2, Captain Marvel 2, and now Med 2. What's next? Expendables? Anyway, moving on. Back to the Med. Um just nothing relevant. You can tell like they were just like, oh well, we're gonna play it stupid. We know we're doing something stupid. Like Jason Statham like takes a helicopter propeller, lifts it up, and just like stabs a shark in the mouth. The characters were just annoying. The side quests were ridiculous. The movie didn't focus on the meds. It was like corporate espionage movie. And the villains, oh my god, the villains. At one point, a woman has to turns evil, and it's like the most lame acting you've ever seen from this blonde woman, and it was terrible. It's like, stop them! Don't let them escape! Get them! Shoot them! Like, it's so bad. It's so dumb and so cheesy, and there's so many dumb scenes like this, and I really wish I could have reviewed this one. That's what I might do. I might start a channel just to do that, just to talk about these things because this is at a point, and I mean at a point. Oh, the volume's up. At a point, when do you just realize you got to stop making these dumb movies because people don't want to see? Oh, we just want to laugh at the film. You want to have a good time. Then make a good film. Top Gun Maverick. That's all I'm gonna say. Top Gun Maverick was entertainingly fun and was a great film. Just do that. Sorry. Hold on. Okay. 6. Speaking of what I said earlier, I kind of spoiled it, so I'll just say it again. Expendables 4. Man, remember the good old days when Expendables was actually a good franchise, and then they just started getting worse and worse, and then people just got sick and tired of it? Yeah, this one nailed the coffin. I'm surprised. $100 million was the budget, and the CGI looks as bad as it does. Um, just a bad time at the movie. I don't even know how they thought that this was a good idea to release in theaters. They're just waiting to stream it on whatever. I don't know because no one cares. You're making a movie that no one cares about. 4 expendable movies that don't even deserve a third. So why are we here? The other expendables felt like, why are we here? Megan Fox just is not good in the movie. Whatchamacallit? I don't even know. I don't even remember the characters. The Expendables were forgettable because I don't even know any of these actors or actresses. Who cares? CGI sucked. Writing sucked. Plot sucked. Some of the acting was not good either. It's just like, what? Why? Why? Anywho. 5. Fear. Remember that? Fear came out in second week or January 2023. I remember I ranted about this movie and I still do. This movie's not good. I didn't like what they did with the characters, didn't like where they went with the characters. The story is awesome, is cool, but the execution is so poor. You can tell just nobody really gave a darn when it came to making this movie. No one. No one did. But Who cares? It's a January movie that came out. Nobody remembers it, but I do. I remember there was a title change at the end of the film where they used the original title they were supposed to use, but they had the actual title in the beginning. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Whatever. This is a whatever. Um. Oh yeah, the CGI demon that walks on all fours. It's just why. It's why. Don't know. It's a bad freaking movie. I almost swore. Well, PG-13, not R-rated. That's what I said to Torelli on Tuesday. So it's PG-13. It's not a say words that are in you PG-13 movies, not those F words that are used in R-rated films. Well, occasionally one F word, but that'll wait until the end of the podcast, near the end of when I'm done with this. I'll save it one more, but not right now. But it, the last you don't probably forget this one and then the next one. I actually remember it came out in March, and I remember I did a whole rant on this movie. Why number 4, Children of the Corn. There was always that one movie in my head. I was like, oh well, that's a bad movie. That's a bad movie. Not with Children of the Corn. Children of the Corn always was one that like it stood out to me, where it was like, yeah, that's one where like, oh yeah, that was bad. That was awful. Like I remember watching that movie in the theater, being like midway through, I'm like, this thing sucks. And I was like, what is going on? I was turning to my dad. I was like, what the hell are we watching? And yeah, the again CGI demon at the end, the CGI corn monster. Dude, man, it's just like the other thing about this that I didn't even realize is that this movie was playing for 18 days in theaters, and then at the last moment, or better yet, they they took this film and moved it and made it a streaming film. So they put it 18 days in theaters, and then it was like, we're gonna put it on Shutter. And Shutter, I don't even have Shutter, so I don't know how bad those movies are. But the quality and the way it's shot, ugh, it's grainy, it's dirty, it's ugly, it's disgustingly bad. Like the acting's poor, the script is just so it's silly. The kids don't know what they're doing either. And the way it plans out at the end, it's so stupid. Like the children cover the girl in gasoline, and then she like try to wipes it all on the kids, and then she's driving in the car that's leaking gasoline too, and then she takes the burner out of the car, like down on the air socket thing, the cigarette that's hot on the other end, and she puts it down on the gasoline trail. Yet the car was leaking gasoline, and you're covered in gasoline, and she's covered in gasoline. So why aren't you all blowing up? Makes no sense. And the final shot is hilariously bad. I could put this in number 1. I really did, but I didn't. Because there's 3 movies that I opted for that were a little bit worse. So 3, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Don't even say anything. Don't even say anything. Yeah, I watched it. Peacock. It's free. So I was like, oh, I get to watch it for free this time. I'm not paying money to see this thing. I'm paying $20 for the Phantom event. No, I'm waiting for streaming. My God. My effing God. I heard all the rumors. I heard all the people say this movie's bad. Oh God, it was. It was. Um, where do I begin? Just the fact that this movie looks like it was shot on an iPhone. Yeah, iPhone camera. Also the actors probably got like $10 after they finished this film. Maybe the fact that the costumes are so noticeable. You can see the human skin with the monsters, the acting, the writing, the performances, the visuals, the story to make it the most generic slasher movie ever made just doesn't work. And all these characters are being released under the public domain. It's like, why? Why are we doing this? Why are you making people create dumb horror films Well, because we can make it for cheap and we can make millions, millions in the theater. I almost sound like Crocker. We can make millions, millions, Turner. We can make millions of money. I don't, I don't even know. I don't even know. It concerns me that this is where we're going to be going for throughout the years of film, everything. And I'm scared. They already have a Mickey Mouse Trap film coming out. I don't know when it's March. Who cares? Who cares? I don't. I'm not watching that. I have better things to do than watch it because I know it's going to be crap. Oh, I can't swear. But I know these movies are going to suck. All right, top two. Like I did, I look at the top, like the top two, and I'm like, these are the ones that pissed me the hell off. I'm like, which one do I go for? Do I go for offensive or do I go for annoying? I'm opting for annoying on this one. So number two, the offensive one, Exorcist Believer. Yeah, this movie's offensive. Why? Because The Exorcist is one of the greatest horror films ever told on screen. People freaked out when it was in the theater. People got scared because it's like, was it based off of something that happened? 50 years later. What did happen? Why did this, like it's a big like middle finger to like the director and everything. Like, look what I'm doing. It's a middle finger to them. Like, why would you ruin the legacy of The Exorcist? Also, to bring in Ellen Burstyn just to crap on her character and just take her out of the movie completely. That's a good idea. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's bring her into in the movie just to get asses in the seats. That's the best way. The old audience, because they love the original. Let's bring those people back in. This is why this movie's offensive. It takes the original film. It says, "Oh, you like these things? We're gonna do put them in here, but we're gonna make it the most generic exorcism film you've ever seen with uninteresting characters." And like I always say, I always said the families in the movie are like the who gives it whatever. It's awful. It's just it's not. It goes into a CGI fest. It's just everything you've seen done horrible in exorcism movies. It's done in here. It's done in here, and I don't. They're making another one. Just don't even cancel it. Cancel it. Cancel the Universal, please. You don't have the right to do this. I am telling you right now, do not. Do not. And it was so bad that apparently the director, David Gordon Green, got fired, and his team are now out of the sequel. So, whatever we get, he's not directing the movie. But that doesn't mean it's going to be good. Let's get that out of the way. Get that out of the way. It is not going to be good. And number one, this is the one. This is the one movie that I think annoyed me the most. I usually think of the film that I think just pisses me off, that makes me laugh the most and just aggravates me. Every year, ever since I started to get involved with movies, there's been that one film that just pissed me the hell off a lot. In 2017, it was Wish Upon. In 2018, it was Truth or Dare. We're gonna talk about that after this. Just wait. 2019, it was what was it in 2019? Black Christmas. In 2020, it was Artemis Fowl. In 2021, it was He's All That. In 2022, it was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And every year, I'm like, there's one movie that's really just. It's like you're a bully, and you have that one kid that you just always pick on and beat the hell out of all the time. Already been decided. Five Nights at Freddy's is that movie. This film is annoying for every reason. And I'm going to say this right off the bat. Just because you're making a movie for fans, it doesn't mean that other people can't enjoy it. But if they don't enjoy it, then let them not enjoy it. Let people have opinions, because certain opinions matter to make your success good. That's why I listen to people, so I can have a successful future. The moment this movie was announced, it's like, okay, it's an interesting idea. Delays, reshoots, different companies. Warner Brothers had this property, then it was Paramount, and then Sony, I think, had it, and then they were giving it to Blumhouse. And Blumhouse has not been on a roll recently. And we'll talk about that next week, because I don't think I'm going to get through the next two topics that I wanted to get through. But um, just a poor, poor, poorly edited, poorly written film. I mean, the horror aspect of this film is bad. It's bad enough. It's bad enough. The horror aspect of this movie, it's not scary. It's not suspenseful. It's not thrilling. It's nothing. You can look at this film objectively and say, there is nothing that is good about this film. Everything about this is below average. The writing, the performances as well, are below average. And if you're not that dumb of a movie audience, and this is no disrespect to anybody who watched this movie and thought it was good, but if you're smart enough to know what is going on in the film, you should not be surprised at what happens towards the end. It is the most predictable schlock you've seen. It's like, there's not enough casting in this movie. I wonder who's the bad guy. I wonder who killed his brother. Oh, it's him. I didn't know that. Spoiler alert. I don't. You've probably seen this movie a million times. Matthew Lillard's the villain. And it's like, there's like 5 people in this movie that are casted. So you think, it's not the main character. It's not the female. It's not the little girl. And it's not the babysitter because she's dead. Is it Matthew Lillard? I guessed it right. But people in the audience are like, what? It's like, I'm not making fun. If you like this movie, that's fine. But again, this is what some people are complaining about. It's like people like that are making these movies happen. These low budget, unscary films that are going to continue to make money. So if you're one of those people, I advise making smart decisions in life. Make better decisions. But like, you can't not look at this movie and think that this is a good horror movie. Even if I never knew Finance of Freddy's, let's take the knowledge of the game out, and let's look at this as a normal film. Even as a film, this movie is absolutely underperforming in every category that it has. And then you put in the element that it's based off of the game. And I actually played all 4 games. Actually, yeah. Like once in my life. And I never touched them on again. I think in high school, I was playing a lot of the 3rd game. I don't know, because I had them on my phone. And the idea of being in this office is creepy enough. The idea of being in this office is enough, and you have the people coming in trying to kill you because you're in a secluded area. That's creepy. What they do in this movie is not creepy. The only jump scare that's really loud and scary is when he opens the cabinets to see the little damn balloon boy toy just smile at you. And that end credit scene where he opens the door, like, how? Why? What are you doing? You're ruining the legacy that these people love the game so much. Even fans of the game are like, this is not good. This isn't good. But this movie is going to get a sequel. Why? Because it is the most successful Blumhouse film ever. It is the biggest opening for a video game, second biggest opening for a video game movie ever, with $80 freaking million. Because people are suckers. And it dropped. it dropped because people were like, it's on Peacock and maybe the movie's not good. So when that happens, you know their movie sucked. But hey, listen, this movie's going to get a sequel. We're bound to get it. But they said it's going to come out in like, they think it's going to come out in like freaking October of this year. No, don't release it in October. Release it next year. So you have time to work, get better writers, better directors, other actors that will want to be in this movie, more casting so you don't be like, oh, I wonder who's the villain. I wonder who's the good guy. I wonder who's the guy that's going to die first in the trailer. Because they spoil that too. Like, it's stupid. It's stupid. And the one thing that just got me so confused is it is revealed that Matthew Lillard is the villain. And he knows he created that these suits have the ability to spring lock if you are caught inside. Dude comes out with a full-on bunny suit, a yellow bunny suit, and doesn't realize, like, hey, if he touches you like there where the spring locks are and activates them, you're kind of screwed. Like, you're kind of dead. So I don't know. This was a bad movie. This did not live up to the hype. I was never excited. I always said this had a lot of red flags going into it. And when I finished watching this on my TV, on my computer, I said, this is definitely a movie that is going to be on the worst list of the year. And it was so bad enough that it's the worst movie of 2023, in my opinion. And I've said that. So we got the greatest of the greatest with Oppenheimer versus like the worst of the worst with Five Nights at Freddy's. And that's all I have to say. I mentioned on the description that I think I was going to cover the January 2024 movies ranked worst to best, and then I was going to talk about my most anticipated. I might have to. I don't know if I can edit that. Can I edit the description? Okay, so I can do that. So I think this will just be titled "Best and Worst of 2023" because that's what it is. But yeah, that's it. Again, I would be curious to see what people think. I would be curious to see what people think of my opinions, but that's how I have it. And again, I talked about this on the other podcast, if which one I think is worse, Exorcist or Five Nights at Freddy's. But I think I just want to be, I think I want to be that guy to piss people off. So yeah, I think Five Nights at Freddy's. Objectively, it's a bad movie. It's a worse movie than Exorcist. It's a worse movie than Exorcist. So yeah. So there you guys have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Next weekend at 1:30 is going to be the time. Western Star Movie Podcast signing off.